Okay, question number 3. One of the most hotly debated issues in the ward over the past year has been the proposed 48-unit apartment building at Long and Argyle near the Jefferson Park Metro Station. In letters distributed in the neighborhood, Alderman Arena charged that his opponent, John Garrido, has made the issue political. Meanwhile, John Garrido has criticized Alderman Arena's zoning review process. Will each candidate please elaborate and discuss his vision for the site? We start with Alderman Arena.
So the property at Argyle and Long is joined with the properties across the street from this building and the vacant property behind Veterans Square as potential redevelopment sites. And we all know, going back 10 years, we've had any number of developments proposed. And across the street, I was here in this room well over 10 years ago when they were talking about a 10-story building. The community spoke, and that building has not been built. There was no zoning review process then. There was no dialogue with the community. Cowley's site, there was a proposal for a parking garage. 7 stories, 10 stories. No review process, no reason for doing it, no plan. Argyle and Long is the same thing. It's sat empty for years. None of these parcels participate in our economy, producing revenue that can help abate our property taxes. We need these parcels to come back into the economy. How we get there is through the dialogue that we've started. A proposal came forward, it was vetted, it was brought to the community's pushed back, the proposal's back with the developer. We're in process. Over and over again, I've used this process to work with the community to get to a community consensus on a 70,000 square foot print facility on Northwest Highway, or a senior housing, 98-unit senior housing facility behind the Jewel at Six Corners. Or most recently, when John attended the meeting, 4901 West Irving Park, where we're going to have a $16 million investment in a parcel that's been vacant for 10 years. These are the things we do. We work together to come up with a solution.
Thank you. Mr. Garrido.
So the letter says I made it political. The residents of that community found out about the project when it was leaked out in the native newspaper. They didn't find out about it from the alderman. The alderman himself admitted that he was aware that there were proposals coming in as much as a year before they finally started, when it came out in the native newspaper. 1,500 people signed a petition against this project. That's why it got tabled. Not because of any other reason. He states in his letter that he had a zoning meeting, one of his secret zoning meetings that nobody's really quite sure who's on the board and when they happen. So these are the reasons why people get aggravated. I'm not making this political. It had nothing to do with passing that petition around to get those signatures. It's just another example of how he says that he includes the community, but he really doesn't include the community. The community finds out about these projects either being leaked out or they start to, where people start getting signatures on petitions, and then finally maybe they'll have a community meeting. Maybe. There still hasn't been a community meeting about this. So the difference is that when I'm in office, I would put any proposal, immediately make it available to the community within the first 24 hours. And that's so everybody knows about it. That way we can have a conversation at the very beginning and not have to send the developer back to the drawing board 3 and 4 times. Let's get them right up front so they know exactly what it is that the community wants and what the community will support, so then we don't waste time and then we can get these projects going instead of the project languishing for over a year to the point where then when it gets leaked out, the community goes out and gets signatures and then somehow it becomes political and somehow it's fine.
Alderman Arena, please.
So if it's a secret meeting, how do you know about it?
You put it in your letter.
Okay. So a secret meeting that Judy Schlasko, the president of the JP&A, was part of the zoning review committee of members of our community that come together and look at proposals. So if I put a proposal on the table in front of a group of residents to ask for advice, and vetted out, and this proposal started out at 60 units, was driven down, was completely out of character with the community, was vetted and reviewed to a point where we thought it was worth bringing it to the community. That's the process that we've used on a 70,000 square foot print facility that's now built and providing 45 jobs in the 45th ward. This concentration on an aspect of the process without looking at the entire process and saying, if a community meeting happens, every single proposal that has come through my office has gone to a community meeting.
Okay, thank you. John Marino, please.
And if we can talk about proposals, you mentioned the senior building down in Six Corners. Now that's a project that came up at the same time as another project up in Gladstone Park. That project was worked on for a couple of years by the Gladstone Park Chamber of Commerce and the Polish National Alliance. That was a project that the Gladstone Park community wanted. It was a senior building, 62 and over, with a cafe at the ground floor and a theater. The community wanted it, and we couldn't get a meeting from him. Instead, he had a meeting down in Six Corners over the Triangle area. That community stood up and didn't want it. That community meeting, which has been videotaped, it was clear they didn't want that project there. 98 units, 37 parking spaces in a residential community. So what he did is he ignored two communities. He ignored the Triangle community and put the project there, and he ignored the Gladstone community and didn't put the project there. And I'm the only one to sign a pledge that I will not upsell Long and Argyle. You haven't.